that's pretty much how I pull this espresso shot. And see the crema? It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, some people ask me, how do I steam milk for this? So that I can do latte art, at least try to practice latte art, because it's definitely not easy. Let me get rid of this first, actually. Hold on. And I would actually argue that the very first thing when trying to learn how to steam milk is to buy a thermometer. This has been probably one of the best things I invested when it comes to my whole like espresso coffee setup, because there are like two phases when you're trying to steam milk. The first one is incorporating the air, which means making the milk kind of like grow in a way. And then the second is trying to get it to kind of get it like even. This is like in the most simplest terms. I don't know like the most professional way to, I guess, express it, but it's like phase 1, phase 2. First, you want it to get to 100 degrees. Once you get 100, then you want it to get to about 140 degrees. And that's the ideal like froth. But I guess before that, the most important thing is you want to use a spout and align it with the little wand. So kind of like this. So you want it to align it here. It doesn't have to be all the way, but then you want to find whatever works for you. Either you're going to lean to the right or you're going to lean to the left. For me, leaning right is what I feel more comfortable at. And then the thing is, you don't want to put the wand all the way down. You just want it to barely kind of touch the milk. And that's where you're going to be at until it hits the 100 degrees on here. So it's like you're barely gonna touch the milk. This part right here, this is like the most important because this is where the steam holes are. And you're just gonna want it to barely touch. And the way you'll know that you're doing this perfectly is because it'll sound like paper tearing when you're doing it. And once you get to the 100 degrees there, then you're gonna lift it down, and I'm making this more down, but just to show. And it should go from sort of like this to like this. And the thing you'll know too is that the milk will rise. Like right now, it's like, also very important, you want the milk to be just below this little like line right here in the spout right here. And when you do that first phase, it's gonna rise. It's gonna become more in volume, and then that's pretty much where you want it to be. So first off though, you wanna turn on the steam wand and let it kind of do its thing. Right now I put a little bit of milk in there so you can kind of see it. You want to let it go to its full potential for a couple seconds. And I like to wet my little rag about there. Now we're gonna go to that position right here, and I'm gonna try to act fast. Turn this on, and it's just kind of barely kissing there. And I'm gonna put my thermometer in there. You hear that sort of paper tearing sound? I'm low-key incorporating a little too much air because it's like going crazy, but I think it'll be fine. Whole milk is pretty forgiving. And now we're at 100, and I'm gonna kind of pour it, make it go a little bit more dipped in. And I'm waiting for it to be 140. I'll wait there until it's done, and then clean the wand right away. You don't want this to get gunky, okay? And then I also immediately throw that there, turn the steam one back on. See? So that it's clean. I let it get a little too much air at the beginning, so it's a little chunkier than I would have wanted. You want it to look like wet paint. And you see how when I swivel it, it covers the walls of the pitcher? That means it's pretty good. If there's ever any little bubbles, just kind of knock it down. But otherwise, there we go. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Hopefully I can. Okay. Now, my espresso. And I'm just gonna, not perfect. Got a little camera shy. No, it spilled. Accidents happen. It would have been perfect. It's kind of hard to do this with the camera on. But we got something. We got something. It spilled. It spilled. It's the first time I ever tried doing it in this cup, so getting used to the fact that there's less volume. But it's not perfect, but we gave it a shot. I actually also recommend, depending what amount of your mug you want, like my favorite kind of mug is like a 10 ounce, like this is my sweet spot, not too big. So I've switched from the pitcher that the machine came with, which is this bigger one, to this sort of small one. I'll link it. I forget what the amount is, but that has also helped me tremendously. But if you want to try to do this, try to learn how to practice how to steam your milk. Those are my tips. Get a thermometer. Get a pitcher that you feel comfortable with. Depending how much milk you use. I use less. And yeah, use the thermometer to get you to that 80 to 100 degrees. Then to 140 is when you're going to be done. That's the perfect kind of froth. But you definitely want to learn how to like maneuver the wand. So that's like getting it here as a guidance and then turning it this way, turning it left or right, and just barely kind of kissing it so that just about like this part is covered, and hearing that tss, 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 that paper tearing sound. And then once you get to the 100 degrees, then you get it to dip more so that all of this surface right here of the wand is covered under the milk. And then you leave it there. You also want to be as steady as you can. But as you can tell, even though I did not get perfect latte as much as I would have wanted, I'm going to insert something else here to kind of validate me. But once you, whole milk for me has been proven that if my hands are not as steady while like doing those moves, it's usually fine. It's usually fine. Like look at the milk that was left over. Like you can kind of tell. And then you submerge it all, wait for it to get a 140, and then you immediately turn off the steam. But you also want to leave, critical, you want to leave the wand in there until it completely turns off. Like you want to be as steady as you can and then turn it off and wait for it to completely stop and then take it out, wash it, and then steam again, purge it out, and then just kind of look at your milk. As for latte art, I don't know if I'm qualified as much, but that's kind of how I do it. That's a very quick tutorial on how I use the Breville to make my morning lattes, or just lattes in general, hot iced obviously. And I do use the Fellow Opus Grinder. I just like that one a little bit more than this one. This one's also pretty good. I've been using this one for like a good amount of time. That's a very brief tutorial on how I sort of use my machine and just in general, some tips on how to use it. So, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. Maybe I'll try to be of help. I'm still figuring this out. I've had this specific machine almost a year now. I had the Breville Bambino before. I actually recommend, I think, this one a little bit more just because of the grinder already. But if you want a little bit of freedom with a grinder, then I still recommend the Bambino. The Bambino just doesn't have a strong steam one like this one. This one has, it's like a 3-hole. I think it's a 4-hole wand. And then the Bambino is a little bit weaker, but I did manage to learn how to steam my milk with the Breville Bambino. So I still recommend that little machine. It's great. And that's it for this video. Just wanted to kind of share my little process and some tips.